A glass case sits on a cedar table. Inside, a live horned beetle is pinned to black velvet with a brass needle, its iridescent shell coated in hardening resin. Its legs scrape against the dry backing board in a rhythmic, slowing click. You press your thumb down on the needle to push it deeper. Why didn't you wait for the clicking to stop? Pupil dilation arrested at 2.1 millimeter. You're walking barefoot across a polished concrete floor in midwinter. Spread across the center of the room is a newborn calfskin rug, cured with coarse rock salt, the dried umbilical cord still stiff against the leather. The raw hide is icy, crusty with white brine. You drag the arch of your bare foot across the dried flank. What does your stomach feel like right now? Laryngeal tension index unchanged. 0 microspasm in esophageal tract. A decorative hive is cast entirely from translucent paraffin wax under an incandescent spotlight. Hundreds of honeybees are trapped in the melting combs, their wings gummed with lukewarm tallow as they try to groom each other clean. You hold the glass cloche that would cut off their oxygen completely. You lower the cloche and seal the base with petroleum jelly. Describe the sound of the hive. Capillary constriction and ocular sclera absent. An antique screech owl stands mounted on an iron perch. You take a scalpel to the seam along its breastbone, expecting taxidermist cotton, but gray, damp cedar sawdust spills across your wrist along with dried larvae. You keep slicing up toward the throat. Your fingers are buried in the damp wood shavings. Why aren't your hands shaking? Vasomotor response delayed by 1.8 seconds. Beyond human empathetic threshold. At low tide beneath a rusted pier, a soft-shelled crab crawls onto a flat stone to shed its split carapace. The exposed pink flesh is soft, translucent, and pulsing in the cold air. Black industrial sand begins blowing across the rock, sticking to the exposed, moist gills. You step down onto the stone with your leather heel. How does the sole of your foot feel? Pupil diameter contracts uniformly. A miniature iron doll's crib sits inside an empty nursery. A live field mouse has its tail bound tightly to the brass rails with blue embroidery silk, cutting off circulation until the tip turns dry and gray. The food dish is placed 2 inches beyond its reach. You slide the food dish 1 inch farther away. What are you looking at? Laryngeal swallow reflex absent. Freezing sleet clogs the roof gutter of an abandoned warehouse. A city pigeon is caught in the iron drain grate, its wing feathers frozen into the slush as dirty water rises around its beak. You reach for the manual valve that discharges boiler exhaust directly into the drain line. And the steam clouds your vision, and the water turns red. Why did you look away from the grate? Respiration depth decreases by 0%. You are served a whole roast game bird under a silver lid. When you carve into the breast, the meat is solid synthetic tallow, and the feathers are melted nylon quills pressed into cold artificial bone. The fat coats the roof of your mouth with the chemical odor of machine coolant. You swallow the mouthful and take a second bite. What does your tongue taste? Salivation index unchanged. No pharyngeal gag reflex. A glass vivarium sits under an unfiltered heat lamp. A small green lizard presses its parched throat against the blistered glass, its skin turning ash gray as it desiccates. You hold a full glass water dropper directly over the ventilation mesh, but invert it to let the water spill onto the floorboards instead. The drops evaporate on the hot timber. Why won't you look down on the floor? Optical tracking speed lacks human hesitation. A heavy halogen lamp hangs over an open vat of unrefined crude oil. A white silk moth drops from the ceiling into the thick black surface. It beats its powder white wings against the viscous sludge, each stroke slower and heavier until only the antenna remains above the film. You dip the tip of your index finger into the oil to hold the wing down. How does your chest feel right now? Telemetry shows total absence of moral dissonance.